everyone, I'm Jordan McKnight and welcome back to the Cha-Cha series. Today's episode is going to be about injuries, prevention, and exercise modifications. Injuries can happen in our craft a bunch of different ways, and dancers are typically aware of their bodies. Yet through my own experience as well as research, I found that a high pain tolerance and or inattentiveness to those pains can lead to more serious injuries. I also found that there aren't many resources in the medical field that surround the topic of physical demand of dance on the body, and this can be because dancers aren't seen as athletes. I complained about my pain for a really long time to a bunch of different doctors before I found out that I ruptured my Achilles tendon. And so I want this video to serve as a one-stop shop so that we can heighten our awareness to what pain is customary versus pain that's associated with an overuse injury or a more serious injury. I'm also going to provide some prevention tools and tactics, as well as exercises for people that are non or partially weight bearing. I am not a medical professional, so please do these exercises at your own risk. If they do start to hurt, please stop and go see a medical professional. The most common types of injuries are bruises and blisters, sprains and strains, stress fractures, and overuse injuries. And usually they all occur in the lower extremities. This is not included unexpected injuries. To help me dive into it a little bit more, here's my friend Bob. Blisters, shown in green, form from rubbing or friction on the outer layer of the skin. Most times this happens when we're wearing new or ill-fitting shoes. Bruises, shown in pink, happen when the smallest blood vessels and veins break due to impact, which allows blood to pool near the surface of the skin. Bruises and blisters can be prevented a similar way with padding or establishing more control in your movements in dance class. The difference between a sprain and a strain is the location. Sometimes they are terms that are used interchangeably, but they are not the same. Any injury to a tendon, shown in orange, is a strain, and if it's associated with a ligament, shown in tan, it's a sprain. For reference, ligaments, tendons, and fascia are all collagen fibers. Ligaments connect bone to bone and provide support for the joints. Tendons connect muscle to bone and help move bones by transferring the force produced by muscles. Tendons are elastic tissue by nature, when ligaments are not. So when ligaments are stretched beyond their means, it can no longer do its job. Tendons have the ability to heal relatively quickly on their own because muscles being regenerative. However, when injured, it can limit the range of motion. Overuse injuries happen gradually. They're the result of spending more time in activity and less time in a rest period. If not given the proper rest, the risk of an overuse injury increases. Also, the older you get, the more likely you are to become injured. Overuse injuries can lead to stress fractures as well as more serious injuries, so it is very important that they are attended to. Often, dancers can't tell the difference between pain that is customary, meaning pain that's associated with soreness from training, or pain that's associated with injury. Customary muscle soreness should take about 24 to 48 hours to resolve. So if you have pain that starts at the beginning of activity, pain that increases during activity, pain at night or after activity, or pain that requires you to overcompensate in other areas, you may have something more serious happening. If you can relate to any of these, please go see a medical professional and stop dancing as soon as possible. The 7 most common lower extremity injuries are ankle sprains, Achilles tendonitis, shin splints, trigger toe, which is a gradual onset pain that you'll feel either in the bottom of your foot or in the inside of your ankle, or it could feel like your big toe is stuck. Ankle impingement, which is a pinching either in the front of your ankle or in the back of your ankle. Hip impingement, which is also a pinching in the hip. Snapping hip syndrome, which can happen when we're turning out or developing your legs. And patellofemoral pain syndrome, which is a pain that you'll feel between your kneecap and your femur bone, also known as your thigh bone, that gets worse when you're plieing, jumping, or going up and down stairs. So some prevention tactics I have for you guys is first to establish a dancer toolbox which is basically just creating a first aid kit. We want to make sure we have band-aids, adhesive tape, gauze, ace bandages, anything to clean those areas with, so whether it's alcohol pads or wipes, or maybe some antibiotic creams, maybe we can get some topical creams in there like heating creams or cooling creams, as well as anything personal that you might need. So that might be your inhaler, or that might be a brace, that could be some balls, it could be a heating pad or an instant ice pack. We want to make sure that we're dancing safe and dancing smarter, and so if anything happens, we're prepared for it. That can be cuts, bruises, blisters, or anything even more seriously. And if something even more seriously is to happen, another tactic I have for you guys is to RICE, which is rest, ice, compress, and elevate. Rest. If you are in pain, please do not dance through your pain, because if you do, your injuries could possibly become worse. Then, if it is swollen, we'll apply ice for 20 minutes and take it off, or some instructors encourage to ice for 20 minutes and then heat for 20 minutes and have the two alternating. And then we compress, meaning to wrap it in tape or gauze or ace bandages to make sure that the swelling goes down along with the ice and the heat. And then lastly, we'll elevate so that we can get some more blood flowing to that area. And if you have a really serious circumstance, I'm not a doctor, so please go see your doctor or go see your physical therapist to make sure that you create a regimen that helps you become better as a dancer. Next, we're going to talk about nutrition. Nutrition is a very important prevention tactic as well. We want to make sure that we're eating right and we're drinking enough water. So that's fruits, veggies, proteins, carbs. We don't want to overly do our oils and fats because our body can become sluggish and actually increase the likelihood of us becoming injured. This as well goes with sodas and juice. If we drink too much of that, that can also hinder us as well. Next, we have cooling down and warming up properly. In the beginning of the series, Briana provided some really great warming up tactics, and at the end of the series, she'll provide some really good cooling down tactics. But we want to make sure that we don't confuse warming up with stretching and foam rolling. So we want to make sure we prepare our bodies to start activity, and then stretch or foam roll during the activity, and then prepare our bodies to cool down after activity. What happens if we start to overstretch and over roll out our bodies, it will increase the chances of becoming overly injured with an overuse injury. Another thing we can do is cross train. This means doing any other athletic activities. So this can be swimming or Pilates or running. This will definitely strengthen our smaller muscle groups, and because dancers are athletes, it's best if we do involve ourselves in other athletic activities, because it will strengthen our bodies, our small muscle groups, our big muscle groups, as well as make us a little bit more enduring to ourselves. Lastly, if you're non-weight bearing like I am and you want to improve your technique, what I did was floor bar. Floor bar is just when you take ballet exercises and put them on the ground. I like it a little bit better than ballet because it heightens your awareness to what you're doing. And so if you have arches in your back, it will help you neutralize that spine, neutralize your pelvis, turn out from your hips, as well as as well as better your technique a little bit. Floor bar. Some exercises that focus on strengthening weakened or compromised areas are hip strengthening exercises like clamshells or side lying leg lifts can help strengthen the weakened or compromised areas that can lead to ankle sprains, shin splints, Achilles tendonitis, and PFPS. Core strengthening exercises like planks and bridges can be used to help strengthen compromised areas that can lead to Achilles tendonitis and PFPS. A good stretch of the calf or Achilles tendon can help with shin splints, Achilles tendonitis, and ankle impingement. With using a foam roller, we can roll out our hip flexors, our quadriceps, also known as quads, IT bands, and glutes to help with snapping hip and hip impingements, as well as PFPS. Rolling out the big toe joint, clenching the ball, performing big toe lifts, massaging the arches, and performing big toe downs can help with trigger toe. Range of motion stretches like plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, eversion, and inversion with or without a TheraBand can help strengthen the ankle. Glute strengthening like side hip adduction, single leg squats, side balance curls, leg curls, or fire hydrants with your straight or bent leg can help with snapping hip and hip impingement. Overall, to lessen the chances of an overuse injury, we want to strengthen our toes and our calves by doing single leg releves or scrunching a towel with your toes as exercises. Stay informed and stay healthy. Bye guys.